everything's new, right? I'm trying to give you guys a little bit better of an experience, whether it's the camera or the microphone. I know my sound quality has always been shit because I've been using that garbage for a long time. So I'm trying to, so when you switch things and then something doesn't work, your natural instinct is to think that the new stuff isn't working, right? Wouldn't that be what you think? So I went ahead and I restarted everything. I restarted the camera. I unplugged the camera. I put the camera back in. That's actually on battery now, so that's probably going to be a problem. I'm going to have to monitor that. If you lose me on video, I'll be right back. It shouldn't happen, but if it does. So I restarted the camera, I unplugged the microphone, restarted the Motu. I even restarted the live, for crying out loud. And you know what? It was none of those things. It was Rumble Studio. I had to text my Rumble rep and say, yo, I'm going to have to cancel this live. And then as soon as I sent that text message, miraculously, poof, we connected. So in Rumble's defense, Studio is in beta mode, so I should probably not expect as much as I do, but I do expect more, and that's just how I am. So very frustrating, though. So we got an hour late start. We're at 8 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. I guess it could be a lot worse. What was really bothering me was I put a lot of time into this one today. Not so much time as in work, because this is a live stream. So on a live stream, what a live streamer would want to do is put together as much content as you could while the live streamer is live, right? This isn't a film. This isn't a movie. This isn't a, we're going to have lots of good stuff with quantum films coming up. In fact, on that topic, I should have a trailer ready for you guys for Q Film 2, Quantum Film 2. Should be hopefully by tomorrow. I'm hoping by tomorrow. I was hoping it was going to be done tonight, but it wasn't. So I'm hoping by tomorrow. I can't promise that, but you're going to like that one. And again, I said this before about Q Films, Quantum Films, my new endeavor. It's not all about, it's not always going to be about Nick Alvear. Nick Alvear was a one and done thing. He made a film. I made a film. I corrected his bullshit. There we are. That's it. But Quantum Films is a new division of my enterprise, a new division of Philco. Philco is my business name, Philco Investments. So we're going to have a whole film line similar to what Alvear and Goodlion has had, except mine's going to dominate his. He's not going to be around much longer anyway, so I'll just take over that space. It's fine with me. Okay, before we get into the good stuff, Q's down. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It was up before with the previous live. We had it up. And then when I disconnected, it just got jacked up. So that's not on Q. That's on me. It's actually on Rumble because I had to disconnect and then reconnect. And when that happened, Q doesn't like when that happens. Q kind of has a, it kind of has to be a certain way. And, so everybody just hop over to Rumble for tonight. And, or D-Live. We got D-Live, Rumble, X, Facebook. And I think that's it for tonight. So a couple technical issues, but here we are. So you guys are really going to like this live. Before we get in, why don't you tell me where you're from? I hate this delay. North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Holland, Massachusetts, Cornwall, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio, California, Tecumseh, Michigan. Okay. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Oh, Scooby-Booby-Doo. I like what you did there. Maui. Cool. I'll be in Maui next week. Osaki's. Lima, Peru. That's pretty cool. Oklahoma. Boinare, Georgia, I think. Vietnam? No way. That's awesome. Welcome. Whitehall, Michigan. Big Island, Virginia. Roanoke, Virginia. Sweden. Lincoln, Nebraska. Dover, Pennsylvania. St. Peters, Missouri. Ventura, California. Rawls, Texas. Pittsburgh again. Los Cabos. Smackover, Arkansas. These are names that I don't read these very often. Jasper, Tennessee. Keystone, Florida. Crawfordsville, Indiana. Jefferson, Ohio. Kingsport, Tennessee. Lockport, New York. Duluth, Minnesota. Aston, Pennsylvania. Rincon, Georgia. Ocala, Florida. 34481. Lucky, Ohio. Cornwall, PA again. Different person. Annapolis, Maryland. New Jersey. Elizabethtown, Tennessee. Melrose, Massachusetts. Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then give me one more. Waterloo, Iowa. Waterloo, Iowa. Wow, numbers flew up on Rumble. So you guys are only seeing about 30,000, but I'm seeing about 26 million over there. Looks like everybody flooded to Rumble when Q went down. I think more will join as we go. It's just that the technicality issues in the beginning really caused some aggravation there. So a couple things. First of all, a lot of people were looking for the replay from last night. And usually what people do is they go to my channel when they're looking for the replay and they just click the top result. If you did that this morning, looking for the replay, that's not what you got. What you got was the upcoming video, the upcoming live stream that you're on right now. So the very top result of my channel was not what you're used to seeing. I know it may be hard to comprehend, but you do have to look at the dates. I think it's safe to say that today's date on the video that you were hoping was the replay, it wouldn't have matched last night because it's a different day. You know what I mean? So kind of look at the dates and then you should avoid that confusion. If you're ever looking for all of my content, you could go to rumble.com/C is in channel /Phil Godlewski. You will see, I think we're up to like 20 pages now of video content. Each page has, I think it's like 7 or 8 different live streams on it or uploads on it. So not all of them are live streams. Most of them are. But that's how you would see all of my content. Rumble.com/C /Phil Godlewski. If you want to look at my link tree has all of my links to everything that I do. It's Linktree /Phil Godlewski, and the dot is between the TR and the EE. So it's linktr.ee/Phil Godlewski. There's no .com, it's .ee. It's weird. But all right, I'm getting over my aggravatedness, so that's good. All right, we got a really, really good show tonight. And like I was starting to explain before, a live stream is a compilation of content. So I pulled, I got like 5 or 6 different videos that I pulled. I got a lot of graphics that I pulled. I got a whole lot of stuff that I kind of put together. So we're going to be watching a bunch of stuff tonight, and I'm going to commentate on those things as we go through. Tonight is, I don't want to call it part 2, but last night, the Q phone live stream. Tonight, the Fibonacci sequence. And tomorrow night, that's going to be a surprise. But all 3 of these are kind of like part 1, part 2, part 3, because they all relate to each other. And there's a reason why I'm doing it this way. There's a reason why I'm doing these live streams now and not necessarily talking about other things that are happening in the news, like Trump's charges are being dropped, and the Fannie Willis thing, the election interference thing. First of all, I told you guys that was going to happen. It should be no surprise to anybody. Trump didn't do anything wrong with any of these things. So it should be absolutely no surprise. Okay. That's going to continue to happen. It's going to happen in the Jack Smith stuff. It's going to happen in the Fannie Willis stuff. His lawsuit that he got found guilty of in defamation for the girl that she said raped her. That's going to go away too. So just let's relax on that stuff. The content that I'm trying to give you both starting last night, leading up until Thursday, tomorrow night. I will have another live stream tomorrow night, by the way. this stuff is going to be very, very, very relevant. Jeremy's in surgery. What's wrong with Jeremy? Is he okay? Is it like, is he okay? Was it an emergency surgery? What's going on there? Anybody know? You didn't make me look on Telegram? Was it a scheduled surgery or did like something happen and then boom, he's in surgery? Like what? Because he was posting today. His last post today was 3 hours ago. Hernia surgery? Okay. All right. Well, he deserves prayers anyway, but you got me scared there because I didn't know what, you could go in for surgery for a lot of different things, obviously. So scheduled surgery, hernia surgery, those things are very, very painful. I never had one, but I know my dad did, and my dad's tough, and like he was not tough when it came to that. So, all right, prayers going out to Jeremy from all of us. Obviously, people are still joining. Who's Jeremy? Jeremy is one of our followers who kind of started his own channel. He was kind of a branch off of the Phil follower family, and he has his own Telegram channel. He posts some pretty good content. I actually share it quite a bit. If you guys aren't on Telegram, by the way, you should really get there. Telegram's a great place that I regularly post to. So if you only watch me and wait for my live streams, that's fine. But there's like regular social media content that takes place every single day. And obviously I can't do that on Rumble because Rumble is a video platform, but I can do it on Telegram. I'm obviously not going to do it on Facebook or Instagram because you just get banned if I post any of that stuff. So that's why Telegram is a great kind of in between for live stream, like waiting for live streams, even if it's just a day that you're waiting. Like we were live last night, we're live again now, we'll be live again tomorrow, but throughout the day tomorrow and throughout the day today too, we could, you could also get additional content. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Very similar to last night, we're going to play a couple videos. First of all, I want to talk about what the Fibonacci sequence is, okay? And I think by the end of tonight, you are going to be, if you don't know much about it or you don't know anything about it, your mind is just going to be as if the ether and everything we talked about last night wasn't enough, and how the Q phone works, if that wasn't enough, this is going to be even more enlightening in many different ways. So you're going to like this one. So let's get right into it, shall we? Let me start up a screen share. Okay. This first video is going to be how to draw. Oh, you just hold on right there. We're not ready for you. First video is going to be how to draw the Fibonacci sequence. And why do I want you to know how to draw the Fibonacci sequence? This is a great place to start. Okay. There's going to be a lot of explanation as to what the Fibonacci sequence is, who is Fibonacci. Yes, he was a person, and how it relates to pretty much everything. But the first thing I want you to do is actually lay your eyes on it. I want you to see it. I want you to see the Fibonacci sequence with your own eyes. And I want you to understand how the Fibonacci sequence is formed. The next video is going to dive a little bit deeper into the intricacies of the Fibonacci sequence. But for right now, follow along with this. This is where I determined we have to start for everything to make sense. So I'm going to switch over to the alternate microphone. Hopefully nothing crashes. All right, here we go. Okay. That may have seemed a little generic, or it may have seemed a little elementary. Not to me, but it may have to you. I promise you, by the end of tonight, it will not. I promise you, by the end of tonight, you will look at this image so much more differently than you are right now. In fact, by the end of tonight, when I was putting this live together earlier today, when I was dancing, I did that video on Telegram, whatever. When I was putting it together, by the time I got to the very end, when I started sharing my own stuff and not just videos here, I actually got really pissed off and almost started crying. So I know right now we're looking at a bunch of squares and right angles and, you know, arcs on a screen that form some sort of crazy looking spiral thing, right? I could promise you that by the end of tonight, you're not just going to be looking at a spiral thing. And I don't even want to think about the end of tonight because I'm going there already, like with my mind. Okay. So what you see on the screen here is the Fibonacci sequence. That spiral that you see is the Fibonacci sequence. And by the end of tonight, you're going to see exactly how it applies to absolutely everything. We're going to move on to another video right now. Let me switch the mic back.
Fibonacci numbers are a sequence of numbers in which each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, usually start with 0 and 1.
I'm going to slow this one down a little bit because this guy talks very fast, and I don't like how he does that because the images on the screen kind of get a little jacked up. So I slowed it down to 0.75 speed, so it's going to be a little slower than usual. But here we go.
Fibonacci numbers are a sequence of numbers in which each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, usually starting with 0 and 1. The Fibonacci sequence starts like this.
So again, the Fibonacci sequence starts with the number 0. Many people think 0 and they think of nothing. They think, well, it's nothing. No, it's not 0. It's actually a very important number. You then start going up with the next number. So you go from 0 to 1, okay? To get the third number, you add the previous two numbers together. So if you have 0 and 1, and you're trying to figure out what this third number is, you add these two together. 0 plus 1, 1. So the Fibonacci sequence so far is 0, 1, 1. To get this fourth number, you add the previous two numbers together. The previous two numbers were 1 and 1. 1 and 1 is 2. The fourth number in the sequence is 2. To get the fifth number, you add the previous two numbers together. The previous two numbers were 2 and 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. And then you add the previous two numbers to get the sixth number in the sequence. 5 plus 3 is 8. You then add, for the seventh number in the sequence, you add 5 plus 8, 13. 13 plus 8, 21, 21 plus 13, 34, 34 plus 21, 55, all the way up to infinity. It never stops, ever. It just keeps going and going and going and going. Well, you say, okay, Phil, so what? So what? Who cares if it keeps going? Let's just keep watching. Oh, and by the way, before I even hit play again, what you saw on the previous screen with the spiral, you can see right here, right? 1 inch by 1 inch. You see where my cursor is? 1 inch by 1 inch, 1 inch by 1 inch. Start with 0. 1 and 1 is 2. Here's a 2 inch by 2 inch. I know they use centimeters, but it makes no difference. 2 inch by 2 inch box right here. Add the previous two numbers, 1 and 2, 3 inch by 3 inch box. Add the previous two numbers, 3 and 2, 5 inch by 5 inch box. Add the previous ones, 3 and 5, 8 inch by 8 inch box. 5 and 8, 13, 13 by 13 inch box. All these are right angles, right? And you got 13 and 8, 21 by 21 inch box. Then when you enter those curves, as the video showed you, you end up with that spiral. The curve is the same on every single one. You start at your starting point and you add the arc. That's why you need the compass for this. And by the way, I know it said rubber, but what he actually meant was ruler. Not sure why it said rubber, but regardless, let's listen to this guy.
0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, and so on. The sequence is named after the Italian mathematician Leonardo Fibonacci, who introduced it to the Western world in his 1202 book Liber Abaci. Fibonacci numbers have many interesting properties and appear in various areas of mathematics and science. They are closely related to the golden ratio, a mathematical ratio that appears in art, architecture, and other areas. In nature, Fibonacci numbers can be found in the arrangement of leaves on a stem, the branching of trees, and the arrangement of a bianco and scales, among other things. The Fibonacci sequence has many interesting and unusual properties. For example, Every third number in the sequence is even, and the sum of any 7 consecutive Fibonacci numbers is always a multiple of 13.
You hear that? The sum of any 7 consecutive numbers is always a multiple of 13. And what else did he say? Every other number, every third number in the sequence is even. And the sum of any 7 numbers anywhere in the sequence is always a multiple of 13. Why does that matter? Well, you'll see.
Consecutive Fibonacci numbers is always a multiple of 13. The Fibonacci sequence can be extended indefinitely, and the ratio of any 2 consecutive
Camera died. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, 1 second. 1 second. If you could hear me, I'm going to get the power back in the camera. You guys could hear me. Bear with me. I'm almost done. I'm still here, guys. I don't know if you could hear me. Can you guys actually hear me? Somebody say something in the chat if you could hear me. Okay, good. It's just a camera issue I'm working on. Hold on 1 second. Well, that was a pain in the ass. So as I thought, the camera battery died, and that's probably going to happen again. And when it does, I will switch the battery again. But the power cord that I had to trick the camera into thinking that it has a battery in it, it's like a little piece that goes in, that apparently is not working. So this is a really, really bad night, obviously, for me. I'm very sorry, and I'm wasting all of your time. And there's really nothing I could do. I mean, what am I supposed to do? So if something breaks, it's just ridiculous. So that was a nice little introductory video as to how the Fibonacci sequence works. But what I want to do now is apply it to real life. I don't want to hear what this guy has to say, so hold on one second. Okay, and before we even get into that one, I want to let everyone know right off the bat that I do not condone gambling, and I certainly do not advise anyone to do what's in the next clip. However, does it work? Yes. I can tell you that every time I walk into a casino, I go directly to the roulette wheel, and I am only red or black. It's all I do, and the only thing that I do is use the Fibonacci sequence. So let's watch this one.
Fibonacci was an Italian mathematician who lived 800 years ago. Chances are you've never heard or cared about Fibonacci, but if you're a gambler, you really should. That's because his most famous work, the Fibonacci sequence, was adapted to become a very clever gambling system. Just like all betting systems, Fibonacci won't help you beat the casino in the long run, but it can give you a way better chance of booking a small win in the short term. In the Fibonacci sequence, every new number equals the sum of the previous two numbers. Start the sequence with 2 ones, and it's easy to start adding numbers. 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 1 is 3, 3 and 2 is 5, 5 and 3 is 8, and so on. To use the sequence as a betting guide, first find an even money bet. That's when you have a roughly 50% chance of winning, and the house will double your money if you win. We're talking about bets like red or black in roulette, the pass line in craps, or betting the banker in baccarat. Now figure out how much you're willing to bet. Let's say you're playing craps, and the minimum bet on the pass line is $5. When you're betting, the numbers in the Fibonacci system represent betting units, in this case, the $5 minimum bet. Start at the beginning of the sequence, and every time you lose a bet, move one number to the right. Whenever you win a bet, start again at the beginning of the sequence. So, using $5 betting units, your first wager will be $5, and if you lose, bet another $5. If you lose that, bet 2 units, which is $10. And if you lose that, move on to the next number and bet 3 units, $15. The genius of this system is that chances are you're going to win a bet before too long and make up all the money you've lost. Just like all negative progression betting systems, though, things can get pretty scary after a long run of losing bets, since you have to wager a huge amount of money just to get even. If you lost 8 bets in a row using $5 betting units, for example, you'd have to risk $170 on the next roll. So just remember to start small, because if you do go on a bad run, the Fibonacci sequence gets serious in a hurry.
Just real quick before we get into the next video, which is really going to start boggling your mind, that progressive betting system, I could speak. I'm just so aggravated with what's happening in the live that I just can't. That betting system doesn't only have to be on roulette or any of that. You could use it in sports games. So you got to watch with sports games because a lot of them are not 50-50. Like you'll have a minus 120 bet on the favorite or a plus 150 bet on the underdog or whatever. So if you bet on the favorite and you win, you're not actually getting even money. So if you bet $100 or in their example, $5, you might get, 20% minus 5. So you might get 4. Or in a $100 bet, if you bet 100, you're going to get 100 minus 20%. That's called juice. That's called, that's the odds that Vegas puts on it. So Vegas makes money no matter what, right? But if you do what he said and move a number to the right and then double your bet, move a number to the right, go back to the original number. If you just keep doing that, you can't lose. The problem with you can lose, but you have to have a big bankroll to be able to keep doing that. Double your bet, go to the next one. Double your bet, go to the next one. Double your bet, go to the next one. And just keep managing the sequence. I wish Jeremy were here because Jeremy could tell you how the Fibonacci sequence actually relates to stock trading as well. There are people, and I didn't put a video up for this one, but there are people out there who use the Fibonacci sequence for stock trading and win big. Let's go on to the next one. This next one is when it really starts to get super interesting, so pay close attention. This is a little longer, about 7 minutes.
In the 13th century, a mathematician named Leonardo Fibonacci discovered it's a very simple sequence of the numbers, starting with the number 1 twice. Each succeeding number in the sequence is the sum of the 2 preceding ones. So the sequence goes 1, 1, and 2, and 3, and 5, so on. And for reasons that are pretty mysterious.
Reasons that are pretty mysterious because he doesn't want to say God.
This sequence of numbers seems to appear in a wide variety of places in the natural world. The logarithmic spiral depicts growth and expansion in the universe. For example, if we look at the branching tendencies of a tree, we see that as time progresses, one spiral expands as the number of branches increases.
Do you see what's on the screen right now? Is that not the most amazing thing? If you look at the tree and start the Fibonacci spiral, where the tree started in the ground, where the bark meets the ground, the base of the tree meets the ground, and you start going up, the progression of the tree will always fall in the Fibonacci spiral. Every progression as the tree grows will, and as it gets bigger, it'll still follow that spiral. You know exactly where the tree is going to be next because of the Fibonacci sequence. How is that possible? I can tell you how it's possible.
Spirals are reflected in structures as diverse as seashells, pine cones, sunflowers, whirlpools, and hurricanes. And as with fractals, we can see spirals at many different scales, from the growth of an embryo to a galaxy. Fractals and spirals reveal an underlying order within many structures that, on the surface, seem chaotic. Progress and growth seem to occur naturally by these forms. But there could be an even more intimate connection to nature.
The importance of the Fibonacci sequence in nature, just like the importance of fractals and spirals, is its ability to create a robust and efficient method of growth. There's a wealth of biological, psychological, and sociological evidence that supports the connection.
For example, the Fibonacci sequence is in flowerhead arrangements.
Then we find the Fibonacci ratio in heart muscles, in bronchial tube branching, even in the electrical potential of neurons, and as
in heart muscles, in bronchial tubes. So it's not only in plants and trees, but it's in the human body.
Penrose pointed out, even in the arrangement of the brain's microtubules.
The DNA molecule, the code for life, is made up of two intertwining spirals. We find the 0.618 ratio between the helix's width and cycle length.
We find the 0.618 golden ratio between the width and the height of the DNA molecule that makes up our being. The Fibonacci sequence is in our DNA.
The Fibonacci ratio may even regulate the way we think.
It's easy enough to imagine that, or make things, well, this Fibonacci sequence and the way that it appears in very many areas of life is just like some kind of number mysticism.
Well, how could it be a number mysticism, sir, if numbers have nothing to do with a plant that was just born or a tree that just came out of the ground? It's not a number mysticism. I don't really like this guy that much.
Equally easy to take the position to say, look, when the same thing keeps occurring in such a wide spectrum of areas, there has to be some underlying reason for it. I tend to the latter point of view. The robust.
Sure, there has to be an underlying reason. Wait till you see what it is.
Resilience and efficiency of all these universal forms, spirals, fractals, and Fibonacci relationships, may be connected to collective social mood. Nature prefers the most efficient path. In the case of the wave principle, though, efficiency is not in the individual's biology, but the efficiency in the progress of the species.
Living creatures seem to be complicated structures produced from simple rules, simple laws of physics and chemistry. And a lot of the structure that you see in living creatures is organic, but pattern structure. Leaves on trees, ferns particularly, things like that, have the same feature that the Mandelbrot set has.
By the way, guys, before we get into this one, my camera may very well die again because this thing is broken. I'll just pause again like I did last time. I thought it died right there. I'll pause again like I did last time, and I'll reconnect the new battery that I just plugged in, and it'll be okay. That problem will not happen in the future. All right, here we go. This one's 13 minutes long.
Individuality, the trademark of any artist, designer, or architect. Each desires a uniqueness to their creation, a quality that separates it from any other. Man naturally has this individuality, his fingerprint. There are 6.5 billion people on the face of the earth, and no two fingerprints are the same. Everything we touch or make contact with is branded with a small expressed image revealing to all who see it who was there. Around 1200 AD, a man named Leonardo Pisano, better known as Fibonacci, discovered a sequence of numbers that created a very interesting pattern. The sequence begins with the numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and continues indefinitely. Each number is obtained by adding the last two digits together. A rectangle with a length and width of any two of the numbers of this sequence forms what is known as the golden rectangle, a perfect rectangle. A golden rectangle can be broken down into squares the size of the next Fibonacci numbers down and below.
How many of you were taught this in school? Nope. Nope, they don't teach it in school.
If we were to take a perfect or golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci's sequence, and divide each with an arc, the patterns begin to take shape. We begin to see Fibonacci's spiral. The spiral in and of itself is insignificant. Its importance is revealed in where we find it. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, and 21. The sequence of Fibonacci. The fruitlets of the pineapple create the same spiral based on the sequence. The pine cone does the same. As currents move through the ocean and the tide rolls onto the shore, the waves that bring in the tide curve into a spiral that can be mathematically diagrammed onto a plot at the points 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and 55.
Unbelievable. You still thinking about that question that I asked earlier? Thinking about how? Easy answer is God. But let's think a little further about how. Let's not just say God. How are these things on Earth doing this? How are they all related to each other?
Buds on trees, sand dollars, starfish, petals on flowers, and especially the nautilus shell are formed with this exact same blueprint. With each segment of growth, the nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all.
You see that? You walk around.
Is directly above our segment of growth. The nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all.
You walk around every single day with Fibonacci on your damn hand, and no one's ever told you about it. Hey guys, I'm aware that the camera went down and I'm switching the stupid battery again because I'm an idiot. Hi. Okay, back to the show. I'm going to rewind a little bit.
This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all is directly above our heads. At an average of 100,000 light years across, even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that the tiny shell is formed.
We're going to talk about that one later, but for now, ignore what he said. but remember what he said, because I'm going to address that bullshit.
This sequence or blueprint appears to be the trademark of a designer, a proof of a creator, something left behind indicating the one who was there, a fingerprint. As we scan our universe,
it's essentially a miniature human, because virtually every cell has every function that I have in my body. It's already present. As a matter of fact, any function that I do with my body is only because a cell can.
Ironically, or maybe not ironically, yes, that is the All Eyes on Me song. Tupac releases the music.
That function because I'm made out of cells.
Oh, I think that the world of physics and the world in general is transforming, and that there's an opening that's occurring. And certainly in physics, there's a level of arrogance that's slowly fading away. Not so long ago, when I started and bringing my work to the physics community, some 15 to 20 years ago, the tendency was to think we've got the universe pretty well all figured, and all we need is a few little things to work out, and then we have it. And so there was a lot of arrogance in the way physicists were interacting with new ideas and so on. And so it was extremely difficult to be heard. But since then, a lot of failures in our theories have come forward. A lot of experiments in laboratory and data from cosmological instruments and so on have shown us that there's anomalies that we cannot explain with the standard model, and all sorts of things are coming up. And so, a certain level of failure of string theory and so on. And I think that...
Yeah, so we're going to cut this guy off. I don't really like the rest of the things that he's talking about there. It's just kind of more repetitive. But I do have more stuff that I want to show you guys. And by the way, if you see people in the chat, especially on Rumble, saying we lost Phil, it's because they joined late, so they're going through what we went through before. There are a couple other things I want to show you guys. Let's go. I'm going to do stop screen sharing. So I asked the question before, and this is where it gets pretty upsetting for me. I asked the question before about what did we talk about last night that could possibly explain what we're talking about tonight. And we're going to go over that right now. Put together a little schematic here. Here we go. Ether. That's your answer. So if you didn't watch last night's live, you really need to do that to get a good explanation as to how ether could be responsible for the Fibonacci sequence. Ether is everywhere. Ether connects you to everything. Ether connects everything to each other. There is an infinite amount of energy in any square inch of ether that could power the entire planet. Ether is responsible for the Fibonacci sequence. Now, it just so happened that Leonardo Fibonacci was the one that found the sequence, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't always there. It was always there from the beginning. Every single thing that lives is made through the ether. There are physical things that you could see with your own eyes and touch with your own hands. But before they were actual physical things, they were ether. So everything that's natural that we saw throughout this live stream tonight and throughout the videos that were presented, everything that's natural takes on the Fibonacci sequence in its growth. Anything from the way a wave crashes on the shore of a beach, from the way a tree grows from its infancy, from the time it leaves the ground up to this big, gigantic tree, like the ones that we have in Northern California. Everything is predictable in terms of growth with the Fibonacci sequence, everything. And the reason for that is because the ether is what controls it. God is in the ether. I said this last night on Telegram after last night's live. They say, well, where is God? Well, God is everywhere. He's everywhere at all times. That's true. And that's because God is in the ether. And that's exactly why they suppress this information from you. And that's exactly why I actually made it a point to point out that when in the, I think it was the fourth video that we saw there, the 7-minute one, they said the biggest example of the Fibonacci sequence is if you look up and you look into the cosmos and you see the big galaxy that stretches quadrillion miles wide and it still shows the Fibonacci sequence. Well, that's true. The problem is there is no big galaxy that stretches quadrillions of miles wide. You know who gave us that thought? The cabal. And do you know what they did when they did it? They did that because they want you to think that this Fibonacci sequence has nothing to do with God. Because if they could distract you and say, oh, look, it's also in the galaxy, or it's also in the other planets. The other planets, by the way, they're named after false gods. Mars, Venus, Saturn. They don't want you to connect the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio with God. That's why they throw in, they do this all the time. They throw in, they mask the truth with a little bit of a lie. And they could say, hey, you know, if they figure this out, well, at least we got this lie up here to distract them from what they figured out. They think we're so stupid. What's that look like to you? Because to me, it looks like the Fibonacci sequence. Do we agree? Looks like the Fibonacci sequence, just looking at it. But if you didn't know what the Fibonacci sequence was, let's pretend that you didn't see anything that you just saw tonight. Okay? And everything that's on the screen right now that you're looking at, how would you describe this? What would you describe this as? The shape that you see, I know it looks like an eye. I know that. But the shape that you see in terms of the concentric lines that are going around, how would you describe what's on the screen right now? I'm looking for a single word. I know it looks like an eye because of what they did with the colors and stuff, but there you go. MF Music says spiral. Looks like a spiral, right? Looks like a spiral. I know you could probably describe it 100 different ways, but what I was looking for there was a spiral. Looks like a spiral. Yeah, it looks like a shell. Yeah, it looks like an eye. I get that. But those are just the graphics of it, right? The shape that those lines make is a spiral, right? You want to see what they do to us? Look what they do to us. And this is so insulting to me that I literally want to jump out of my skin. They take the damn Fibonacci sequence and they rebrand it to these pedophilia symbols because they don't want you to know what the Fibonacci sequence actually is. So then when you go out and you see a spiral somewhere, right, that actually is the Fibonacci sequence, they want you to think that that's a pedophilia symbol. How insulting is that? How insulting is that to God? That these two images that are on the screen right now, little boy lover on the left and attraction to boys on the right, little boy lover is the worst one. But how dare they take the Fibonacci sequence and rebrand it into a spiral, that means you love little boys. All these people need to die. Die. And guess what, guys? It's not the first time it's happened in history. This is the... Oh, let me scroll up a little bit. This is the Shon Shrine in Haji, Japan. And it says that it features the ancient sign. This is a very, very religious place in Japan. What do you see? What do you see on the screen? Who sees it? What do you see? Look close. I'm waiting for... Nope, not a spiral. Look closer. Swastika. Now, this is the most holy place in all of Japan. And Japan is a very, very holy place. The Shon Shrine in Haji, Japan features the ancient sign of the swastika, a religious sign. Oh, don't worry. I got more. An ancient mosaic in Uzezi, Jordan, shows a version of the sacred emblem. The sacred emblem. Wow. An ancient mosaic. People in Jordan had no idea about the people in Japan back then. No idea. But yet they're using the same sacred symbol. Anybody Hindu in here? In Hinduism, I'm reading what's down below, and then I'll scroll up. I just want you to see the swastika first on the top right. And then down bottom it says, in Hinduism, the swastika cross has for many centuries been a symbol of religious devotion. How many of you, if you went up to this place in India and you saw that orange metal sticking out of the water, you would say, oh, there's a Nazi symbol. There's a swastika. Look at this one. Windows created in the shape of the swastika on a building in Lalibela, Ethiopia. An ancient building in Ethiopia using the swastika symbols as a symbol of religion and as a symbol of devotion. Look at all of them here. This one says let me switch that back. The Mezquita Cathedral in Cordoba, Spain is adorned with intricate symbols, including the swastika. It's a cathedral. Religious. The Chemo Theater in New Mexico, USA is adorned with traditional Navajo emblems. Traditional Navajo emblems. I'll be damned, that looks like a swastika. So what? Because, oh wait, oh, there's Buddha. I'll be damned. Right on Buddha's chest, there's a swastika. Is he a Nazi? Was Buddha a Nazi? The swastika symbol is associated with good luck and prosperity in Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain cultures. The swastika symbol is associated with good luck and prosperity. But we just want to talk about this guy. This is all we want to talk about when it comes to the swastika. We don't want to talk about religion. We don't want to talk about religion, do we? How dare we talk about religion? How dare we use this symbol to talk about religion? You think Hitler took this symbol and tried to corrupt the symbol? You think that's what happened? Because I don't think that's what happened. We'll talk about that in another live. But they are taking anything that could remind you of God, and they are rebranding it to evil. And they are distracting you away from the truth, and nothing pisses me off more than that. Nothing. It's despicable. This is a religious symbol. Hitler knew it was a religious symbol, and that's why Hitler used it. Not because he wanted to take the religious symbol and apply it to something bad. Do you actually know what happened with Hitler and the Nazis? Do we think Hitler was oh so bad? Hitler bad. Hitler bad. Killed all the Jews. No. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That's not what happened. And I'm not a Holocaust denier. I know that the Jews died. I know that. There's no doubt about that. Who killed them? Was it the Nazis? Who told you that? Who told you the Nazis did it? Because I have proof to the contrary. Oh, of course. You know, why don't we just Photoshop a picture? Yeah, why don't we Photoshop Trump into the picture and make him look like Hitler? You guys know what they're doing to Trump now, right? You see it every day, right? They're politically prosecuting him. They're putting that. Do you think that this is the first time that's been done to someone in history? You think Trump is the first one to ever go through this? I got news for you. They're trying to adorn Trump to Hitler because they want Trump to be Hitler. Because Hitler bad, Hitler Nazi, Hitler swastika. They're doing it again. They tried to do to Trump what they did to Hitler. Except this time, it's not going to work. In Hitler's case, it did work. And everyone sees Hitler bad. Hitler bad. Hitler killed people, lots of people. No, that's not what happened. That's not what friggin' happened. And we're going to cover that in an upcoming live too. And I can't wait for that one. I may even do a Q film on it. What's this? Anyone know what that is? Anyone know the name of that? All right, I'll save you some time. It's called the Valknut. It is 3 interlocking triangles, and it is a symbol of the old Nordic culture. And I have ancestry in Norway. And when I started looking into this symbol, I saw a couple things. I saw what I felt was power and good luck. And that's exactly what it was. It's an old Norse symbol. And look what's around the outside of that. Does that look familiar? Because to me, it looks like what the Pope wears around his robe. And it also looks like what was on one of my jerseys the other night. Did you know that I have this symbol on my body in 6 different places? You know what people want you to think about those triangles, right? I mean, do I have to Do I have to spell it out for you? People want you to think that that's this, right? Looks pretty similar, doesn't it? Let's look at it again. Did you know that the Valk nut has a perfect Fibonacci sequence going right through the damn thing? Did you know that? Did you know that the ancient Nordics, the Vikings, came up with this symbol because of the Fibonacci sequence? And you could actually plot out the exact sequence of the spiral within that Valk nut. Do you know that? I have that 6 times on my body. I have 6 Fibonacci sequences on my body because of this Valk nut. What's this? I know we know that one, right? Easy one. Easy one. What is it? Come on. What is it? Tree of Life. Did you know that the Tree of Life, this particular image of the Tree in Life, has a perfect Fibonacci sequence throughout the entire image? You guys know that? Do you guys know that I have the Tree of Life on my chest? I don't know if you could see that. I have the Tree of Life right there. Do you know that this tattoo has a perfect Fibonacci sequence going throughout the entire thing? Did you know that? You didn't know that, huh? People want to tell you my tattoos. Feel bad. Feel bad. Tattoos. Bad tattoos. What's this? Anyone know what this symbol is? I'll give you a hint. It's right here. It's called the Helm of Awe. Helm of Awe. It's referred to often in Nordic culture as the Nordic compass, but its actual name is the Helm of Awe. And it's a protective symbol. It was meant to protect. Forget about the background. I'm talking about the symbol on the screen, the white symbol. Did you know that there's a perfect Fibonacci sequence going right through the symbol? Did you know that? What did the Nordic people know that we didn't? That'll now be the 8th Fibonacci sequence I have directly on my body. You know, just in case you people want to criticize me for my tattoos. Not that I give a shit, but I'm just throwing it out there. What's this? Well, I'll save you some time. That's the triple horns of Odin. You know who Odin was? Odin was the Nordic god of gods. He was basically like Zeus in the Greek culture. But do you know who Odin actually was? You know how Odin died? Anyone know how Odin died without looking it up? Ask in the chat right now. No, it's not Celtic. It's not a Celtic knot. That is called the triple horns of Odin. It is a Norse symbol, an old Nordic symbol, just like the others I just showed you. Odin was a Nordic god. He was the main god. How did he die? Did Zeus destroy him? No. What if I told you that Odin died hanging from a tree in a crucified position? That sound familiar? Isn't that how Jesus died? Maybe I don't know my Bible. Odin was crucified. Odin was not Odin. Odin was Jesus Christ. Do you know that this triple horn of Odin has a perfect Fibonacci sequence going directly through it? Triple horns of Odin right there. Perfect Fibonacci sequence going right around my arm. That'll now be a nice location on my body. they do it with everything. And it's not just Trump and it's not just Hitler. It goes all the way down to me. And these people will do anything they could to get you to look away from who you're not supposed to be looking at. You think I have these tattoos on my body and you think that these are a disgrace to God? The tattoos on my body are because of God. We need to stop falling for the narrative that the cabal has in place. Hitler bad, Trump bad, Phil bad. How do we know? Oh, look. You know how many people criticize my tattoos for the last 4 years? And I just let them go because I didn't want to bring up Fibonacci and all this stuff. I don't want to do it. Just didn't want to do it. We just let them keep looking real stupid until I eventually tell people. We have to stop falling for the bullshit. We have to stop letting them get away with this. The Fibonacci sequence is because of ether that is all around us, and ether is because of God. Ether is the mysterious fifth element. Mysterious, they say, right? They don't even teach you Fibonacci in school. They mock us and they leave us questioning ourselves, and they try to pit one against the other. I got 2 new tattoos recently when we were in Hawaii. Both of them are on the back of my calves, my left and my right calf. One's a turtle, one's a shark. And both of them have the Fibonacci sequence in them. Obviously, they're not Nordic stuff like the rest of my body, but just an ode to Hawaii kind of thing. I know a lot of you, listen, I'm very ashamed to say, actually, that for the majority of my life, I didn't even believe in God. And that really bothers me now because he was always there in everything, you know? And it just leaves me so ashamed. And sometimes I feel like the thing that I always try to do is like make up for being tricked. You tricked me. You tricked all of us in different ways. Maybe it wasn't through your faith. Like it was for me, but they continue to trick us. They try to turn an ancient, peaceful, religious symbol like the swastika, and they try to make it seem like, oh, well, that's a bad symbol now, because they don't want you to know it was good. They don't want you to look that way. They try to take the Fibonacci spiral, and anytime you see a spiral now, the first thing you think is, oh, boy lover, little boy lover, because they don't want you to see an actual Fibonacci spiral. Do you know how many people came up to me after I would point out a Fibonacci spiral? This happened recently in Hawaii. We were at a store that sells, stuff that you just put around, and they have those shells. They have those seashells that represent the Fibonacci. And I'm looking at it and I'm about to buy it, and somebody said to me, that's the boy lover symbol. And I just like slow looked at them. Like, number one, are you calling me a boy lover? Because I'm about to knock you the fuck out. Number two, are you stupid? And then I realized they're not doing either of those things. I didn't say either of those things, but I thought it. And then I realized it's not their fault. Because why wouldn't they think that? This is just another example of how they embed a little bit of truth in a giant lie. They want you to know that the spiral is a boy lover symbol, right? And they want you to be focused on boy lover, boy lover, boy lover. So you're all focused on all that stuff. You're all focused on the boy lover stuff, right? Because it's a spiral, right? So you're focused there. And why wouldn't you be? You should be. Shouldn't you? But in reality, what you're really looking at is God. And it's so upsetting. I mean, it really, really drives me every single day. Every day it drives me. And it should drive you too. And I really hope you learned something in the last 2 nights, because putting the two things together that we discussed both last night, I know it was about Q phones and that was the big Intel thing, but really it was about Ether. And really it was about what Tesla discovered and what they suppressed. And then when you take Ether and you look at it in the context of Fibonacci, and why would a wave have the same exact sequence as a sunflower? And why would that sunflower and wave have the same exact sequence as the wing of a dragonfly? And why would the wing of a dragonfly match our DNA as humans? And why would that match the exact sequence in which a tree grows out of the ground? And listen, we could go on and on and on. The shape of your ear is the damn Fibonacci sequence. The carpals in your hand and the metacarpals in your hand are exactly a Fibonacci sequence. How could that be? And why don't they teach any of this to us? A lot of people say, well, how do we know if you know, our creator God was, well, I know faith, yeah, you got to believe, but how do we know if our creator God just isn't there anymore? Right? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But how do you know he's not there anymore? How do you know? Because the earth that God created is still functioning exactly how it functioned when it was created. And he's still here and he's watching, and every single one of us that does these, that commits these sins. And I'm not a preacher and I'm not trying to preach, trust me. But every one of us that commits these sins, he's there. He's literally everywhere. And he sees it. So we're not getting away with it in the end, right? How many of you since Sunday night, while you were in a gas station or a mini mart or a grocery store or walking down the street with your dog or whatever, looked at a stranger? You stupid camera. I'll be right back. And there I was. How many of you looked at that stranger on the street and just, even if you didn't strike up a conversation with you, just smiled and said hello and then just kept on walking? I hope you did. Because you guys, and myself included, and honestly, all of us, like every human on the planet. By the way, planet is, we need to redefine the word planet. So when I say planet, I'm not thinking this ball in space that's running around the sun and we're going through space. I'm not saying that. But all of us have sinned and sinned big time. And the more I watch and the more I familiarize myself, and I've known about this stuff for a while, obviously, but the more I familiarize you with this stuff, I think we have to realize that we really don't get away with anything in life. It's being seen. And I think the concepts that I'm bringing up now are proof of exactly that. So we did 2 or 3 lives. There's going to be a third live tomorrow, and that's going to cover something that's equally as mind-boggling and very much in relation to the last 2 things that we talked about, which was ether and how it's ever present, and it's the fabric of all of us and everything, and connects everything to everything. And then obviously tonight, the Fibonacci sequence, which I think has everything to do with ether. And it's the reason that the Fibonacci sequence even is a sequence. It's the reason. It's the ether is responsible for that sequence. It's not possible to have that sequence in random things without the ether being present and being responsible for it. And then, well, what's ether? Well, they removed ether from the periodic table in 1908. Why would they do that? Because in the late 1800s, mid 1800s, that's when the last reset happened. And that's when the new group of scumbags came to power and started lying about everything. So they didn't want you to go back and look at ether. Previous civilizations knew about it. The ancient Egyptians, the Romans, they all knew. They didn't want us to know about it. They need to suppress that because we can't have another uprising like, in the Hunger Games. This stuff is very important to me, and it really hits me, when I talk about it. So I hope that I could convey what I know about it in the best way that I could so that you could understand it. But what I would super encourage you to do is research it more yourself. Don't let it end on what I say, because there's so much information out there. I shared a few videos tonight and a few last night on this stuff, but you guys really got to super educate yourself, because the more you do, especially on these 2 particular topics, it just shows the divine power that just is around us at all times. And I think we need to be aware of it. And I think we need to recognize it more, even more than we all currently do, each and every one of us. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm terribly sorry about all of the frustrating problems that we had. For tomorrow night, I will not have these problems. Even if Rumble Studio acts up in the beginning, I'll be ready to go on OBS. And I will make sure that the battery issue with the camera is no longer an issue. It wasn't an issue last night because the battery adapter was working fine. It just so happened to be tonight. So I just have a couple sponsors that I want to mention just really quick before we sign off the air. Tax Network USA, a couple things that Tax Network USA could do for you guys. They could offer forward thinking and tax planning. They have some experts there that are really good in tax planning. They could help you understand how your financial products actually work for you. They could learn how to coordinate your products with you, put together a plan for that. They measure performance on all of your different needs. They compare financial decisions, and they also eliminate financial errors and omissions. TNUSA.com/Phil. That'll give you some discount if you sign up for them. And then, of course, I mentioned this before. And I got some bad feedback about it. The Wellness Company. Listen, A lot of people are attacking the CEO of the wellness company, and they're trying to say, "Oh, he's bad. He's bad. He's real bad. He's bad. He's a bad guy. He's real bad. He's bad. He's look at what he's this. Look at